So this is going to be my review on the Gerber Sharkbelly knife. I've had this knife for a little while now. I carried it for about a month and a half, something like that. It's, got this nylon or whatever construction, reinforced nylon or whatever they call it. It's plastic. It's just a fancy word for plastic. It doesn't have any liners on the inside of the handle. The knife is a very light knife. It is a lockback. The blade itself, I believe they call this a sheep's foot blade. And then this one has serrations. The serrations on this knife are actually pretty cool because I can actually sharpen these rather easily. The hole here in the blade makes it so that you can open it one-handed. From what I understand, Spyderco has a patent on their hole, so I think everybody's trying to copy the Spyderco hole without making a hole to infringe on that. But yeah, so it works. It doesn't work great, but it does work. There's not a whole lot of texture on this knife. It gets the name Sharkbelly from this texture there that I haven't really noticed. It does have a hole for a lanyard, if that's your thing. Your lock is pinned in the knife, of course. The blade itself is, I think, 420 HC, whatever that means. I think that means it's softer than 440. I'm not really sure. The blade itself on this knife actually works pretty well in my experience and seems to hold an edge relatively well. I do like the blade on this knife. The pocket clip that comes on this knife that is not on this knife right now is basically a paper clip. It got to the point where I think it got caught on something and then it was never right again after that. So it started to irritate me, so I finally just ripped it off the knife. Saying that, since this blade doesn't have any liners, and I think this pivot screw here might be a little loose, this knife does have quite a bit of blade play. Quite a bit of blade play as far as I'm concerned. Now at some point I want to get a set of small Torx bit drivers, because I don't have any that are this small. Most of the Torx bit drivers that I have are bigger for things like automotive use and stuff like that. So I don't have any small enough to do this pivot screw, because that's a very small Torx bit that you would need for that. So yeah, but I stopped carrying the knife just because for me it had a little bit of excessive blade play, and I actually did like the knife until the pocket clip, decided to be a piece of shit and break. Well, not break, but bend, and then I could never get it back to the point where it was. And so I ended up ripping it off. So now if I want to carry this, I'm going to have to carry it in my pocket, which is alright. I do that with my Benchmade. I carry it in my back pocket. But, the Benchmade's a much better knife. All in all, this knife is like $27 something at Walmart. It's made in the USA, if that's your thing, Portland, Oregon. And honestly, if you guys are going to spend $30 on a knife from Walmart, I don't have a whole lot of experience with this knife yet, but with the reviews I've seen and everything, and the limited experience that I do have with this knife so far, I would honestly recommend you just pick up this Ontario knife, Rat 1, instead of the Gerber, unless you just really want to try out the Gerber for yourself. Like I said, the only real thing that I just absolutely do not like about this knife was the pocket clip, and that's no longer on it. And I'm hoping that if I get some small Torx bit drivers, that I'll be able to tighten up that pivot and I'll get rid of that blade play. Because like I said, I do actually like this knife. It just didn't hold up as well as I expected it to, I guess. So if you're going to buy a knife around $30, you could buy this one. $30 at Walmart. You could get this one. You could get the Ontario knife, Rat 1, which I actually really like right now. I don't have a whole lot of experience with it yet, but yeah. Gerber has another one, I think it's called the Air Ranger, that is actually like $1 cheaper than this one, which is probably the one I should have tried. But I really liked the design on this one, and I liked that it was a lockback. But yeah, so hopefully one of these days I'll get a set of small Torx drivers, and I'll be able to tighten that pivot screw and get rid of the blade play. But all in all, I wouldn't exactly recommend this knife. It's not exactly the quality level that I expect of a $30 knife. But, you know, I wanted to try out something new, so I bought this, but I wouldn't recommend it. You know, if you just want to buy it anyway because you think it looks cool, I completely agree with you. The knife looks awesome. But I'm not real impressed with it for $30.